Yo, what is good, YouTube? Krishan checking back in with another video. In the first update of the day, this is the latest from Ramon Dino, and Ramon definitely looks a bit bigger than the last time I seen him. Now, Ramon is another guy that had a lot of early success as soon as he turned pro, taking second in his first pro show, taking top 5 at his first Mr. Olympia, and taking second place at his first Arnold Classic. This guy just seems to be constantly improving, and I'm excited to see him in December. Now, you guys let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think of Ramon Dino this year? Is he a lock for third place, or could he potentially challenge Terrence Ruffin or Chris Bumstead? He is one of my favorites in the division. I feel like Ramon has a physique that is very reminiscent of the 80s era, where I feel like it's almost like a Chris Bumstead look-alike competition today. Who's the closest to Chris, which is why so many people like Urs Kalasinski. But incredible update from Ramon. And in the next update of the day, this is a side chest from Hunter Labrada prior to the guest posing that he did this past weekend. Now, in all honesty, I was a bit upset that Hunter placed ahead of Nick at last year's Mr. Olympia. Taking nothing away from Hunter at all, the judges just placed him in 4th. But the more I've seen his physique over this past year, I'm starting to like it more and more. And Hunter just looks massive in his front double bicep. And in my personal opinion, he has some of the best arms in the open class today. Also has a very tapered waist and flaring quads. Great structure. I've had a couple people in the comments say I don't see why so many people are high on Hunter's structure. Shoulder to waist to quad ratio, guys. And on another note, I wonder why we don't see that many guest posings. Hunter Labrada as well as Wilkin seem to be guest posing a lot. But I wonder, are the promoters just not asking the athletes, or are the athletes turning down the guest posing because they seem to be making all this guest posing money? Now, this is a clear photo of Hunter Labrada. Taken at a different angle, doesn't look as good as the other angle, but definitely looks pretty good. Hunter is at the highest weight he's ever been in the offseason. To my knowledge, he is being coached by Ben Chow. But I'm excited to see this guy in December, and man, I think Hunter is going to be very, very hard for a lot of guys to beat. Everyone think Hunter is the guy that's going to get knocked out of the top 5 and top 6. But who knows, guys? He seems to be making a lot of improvements. And as I mentioned, Wilkin also guest posed at the same show. I believe it was the Colorado Cup. And Brett also says he wants to compete before this year is over. Now, if he's able to hop into Prague, and we do have the possibility of Marco Crizzo doing the amateur show and turning pro at Prague, still 100% not confirmed, but if he can do Prague or Romania, he can qualify for this year's Mr. Olympia. And Brett does have an incredible physique, but so many people hyped him up. They started looking down on him once he didn't win the Arnold Classic. He actually placed in 6th place. But that was only his second pro show in the Open, I believe, and 6th place in that Arnold Classic lineup. Incredible, guys. He was still able to beat out a guy like Regan Grimes. But Brett just needs to play to his strengths, which is come in condition. I believe he tried to play the size game a bit too much at the Arnold Classic, and that's where it really hurt him. Versus the Chicago Pro, when he came in peeled to the bone. And a lot of people had him beating Hunter Labrada, who was a top 4 Olympian. But I'm excited to see Brett hop on stage pretty soon. In the next update of the day, William Bonac put this up today. And this guy is just looking massive. And William has already said he's the biggest he's ever been in any offseason. So he's probably going to bring his best version to this year's Mr. Olympia, working with the diet doc Chad Nichols. And a lot of people talk about beating Big Ramy, beating Brandon Curry. William Bonac placed 6th at last year's Mr. Olympia. Who's going to make it past Bonac? I mean, let alone make it past Ian Valliere and Akeem Williams, who placed 7th and 9th respectively. But Bonac is looking incredible, man, and I'm predicting him as high as top 2 this year, guys. If Bonac can pull off an Olympia win, I mean, who knows? And in the next update of the day, this is from the 5th place finisher at the Texas Pro, Quinton Eriya. Now, Quinton did say he's going to go ahead and shut it down for the rest of the year. He doesn't really see a point in trying to qualify for the Olympia just to be there. He says he's a guy that actually wants to go there to compete. And he could possibly get there on points, but he's a guy that says he actually wants to win a show to get to the Mr. Olympia. Now, something else he mentioned, that he takes very low gear doses, similar to the doses that he took when he first started. And he says he really wants to gradually do this. And he also stated that before he was natural turned pro natural, he really debated, getting into the gear and all of that. I thought that was very interesting, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys are going to say that's what's holding him back. But Quinn can do this any way that he wants to. I'm pretty sure he's going to get to the end goal eventually. And in the next update of the day, this is the latest from James Hollingshead. And I believe we're about 6 weeks out from the Arnold UK. Now, prior to this weekend, James was my winner for this show, my early pick, prior to Hassan pulling out, of course, who was my original favorite. But we just seen Andrew Jack at this weekend's Texas Pro, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be everyone's favorite at this Arnold Classic UK. Now, I do tend to pick on James a bit because he had very high hopes of himself last year. But in all seriousness, James has been struggling with, I think, his confidence in himself as a bodybuilder since last season. Now, I think James really needs his Arnold Classic UK to prove to himself mostly that he can still do this. And Andrew Jacked, I hope he doesn't send him into a retirement, to say the least. And speaking of the Arnold Classic UK, these are the latest updates from Vlad Suhoruchko. And a lot of us had him winning going into this year's Portugal Pro, which was won by Andrea Presti. I believe Vlad placed in 5th. But taking a look at these two photos, it seems like he has been working on his posing, which I think will make him look a lot better. And this guy also comes in crazy condition and is very vascular. I'm excited to see him compete against guys like James, Hollingshead, Martin Fitzwater, because every time I've seen Vlad compete, it's only against Presti, Muzi, and Tim. But hopefully he comes in condition and can get into that top call-out. Now, speaking of Tim Budesheim, I believe this was actually prior to the Tampa Pro. Now, I did want to put this in here because I give Tim a lot of flack for his back, but Derek Lunsford actually took him through a back workout prior to the Tampa Pro, I believe. This could be reason, but I think it's old. But Tim's back actually look a lot better here than it looks on stage. Definitely could improve, still needs a bit more density, but I definitely want to give a shout out to him because I've been giving him a hard time about his back in pretty much every show he's done. But Tim was placing in the top 5 at every show until that Tampa Pro. I believe he placed in 7th. But there was a very competitive lineup with Akeem Williams and Kamal El-Gardney leading the way. And in the next update of the day, you guys are looking at Emmanuel Rodriguez or Carlos Rodriguez. I've seen him called both. But this guy actually placed 7th place at the Texas Pro. And I've never in my life seen someone this wide at his height. I believe this guy is only 5'7", 5'8". Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But this guy is incredibly wide. And also another guy I want to talk about from this Texas Pro was Nathan Epler, who placed 12th. Nathan actually moved up to open at the last minute from 212. I believe he came in about 219 pounds, maybe 222. But this guy looked incredible. When he was standing next to Phil Clahar, I honestly had Nathan Epler beating him, but Phil was just significantly bigger. And as we know from the Akeem and Kamal battle, size does prevail in bodybuilding. But Nathan has a bright future, and this guy looked pretty good on the open stage. And in the next update of the day, this is the latest from Yunlong. Look at the roundness in the delts before he pulls his front leg spread. But Ping competed at the 2022 Thailand Pro, which he actually won in the 212 division. And we've had so much going on since then. Ian Valier, Antoine Valant, Andrew J, the Blessing of Waterboy. I believe some people have forgot about Ping Yunlong, and I'm excited to see him in this 212 division in December. As far as I know, Kamal said he wants to move forward and not backwards, so I don't think Kamal will be at the 212 Olympia in December. This guy has some crazy round muscle bellies, wow factor, and crazy conditioning. How will he do in the 212 division? And in the next update of the day, this is the latest from Ellior Dermond, who is 15 weeks out from the NPC Nationals. Now, prior to me seeing this, I actually did not know who this guy was. I've always seen him all over my Instagram. I honestly thought he was a retired bodybuilder. But this guy is an absolute freak, man. He definitely has to work on the midsection, because he's at risk at losing control of it. Just being completely honest. But this guy doesn't post any back shots, guys, so you know what that means. He probably needs to bring up the back. But this guy's a freak, and I'm excited to see him compete. And ending this video here with my archive of the day, you guys let me know in the comment section below which legendary bodybuilder is this. And bonus points if you guys can name the competition or the year without looking it up. As always, I hope you guys did indeed enjoy this video. There isn't too much going on in the world of bodybuilding. I don't think we have another show for at least a month. So hopefully I made this news video interesting for you guys. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'm Krishan from Go Fitness, and that's it. I'm out.